Good evening, Zimbabwe. In today's news bulletin, we present to you a country teetering between a legal thriller, a horror show, and a tragic soap opera. We've got a judge who doesn't need witnesses because apparently the courtroom is now a Hogwarts. A university handing out marks like sweets at a funeral, courtesy of people who didn't even teach the students. Thousands facing eviction again in the name of development because apparently moving people is easier than moving policy. A child dead after a dog attack, and instead of arrests, we get phone calls to politicians and total silence. Across the border, South Africa's xenophobic crusaders are now coming for Zimbabwean school children because bullying toddlers is now patriotic. Add that to a new political party trying to fight ZANU-PF, cowed drownings in rivers, armed robbers in clinics, and a municipal worker killed by government incompetence. And you've got yourself one fiery bulletin. Buckle up, because this is Zimwaves, where the only thing more predictable than power cuts is government negligence. We begin with a scandal that's got more twist than a combi in downtown Harare traffic. High Court Judge Nevakatiyo has been accused of the legal equivalent of cooking sadza without water, handing down a final ruling without holding a hearing. Yes, according to a Bulgarian state firm, Techno Impacts JSC, the man allegedly crafted an entire judgment based on submissions that were never made. In short, the courtroom was empty, but somehow there was still a verdict, and it wasn't in their favor. Lawyers are now raising alarm bells, saying his conduct sails perilously close to criminality. And the Judicial Service Commission has been asked to dust off its cobwebs and investigate. Whether they will all act or just pretend to, we'll wait with popcorn. Next up, the University of Zimbabwe, once the pride of Southern Africa, now has a burning dumpster of academic embarrassment. Striking lecturers have accused Vice-Chancellor Paul Mapfumo of pushing ahead with exam results marked by adjunct staff hired during their 110-day strike. Yes, we are talking about people who weren't even present in the lecture rooms. The Association of University Teachers has dropped a 45-page dossier on his desk accusing him of academic fraud. If this goes through, students could graduate with degrees marked by literal strangers, which ironically may be more qualified than the administration itself. And from broken classrooms to broken promises, let's head to Chibi and Masvingo. Over 17,000 people are now facing eviction as part of the government's Tugwi-Mukosi dam expansion. If this sounds familiar, it's because it is. In 2014, similar displacements dumped thousands into unserviced lands with no compensation. This time, human rights activists are begging for proper planning. But let's be honest. When was the last time this government planned anything beyond tomorrow's propaganda? And now tragedy cloaked in silence. In Darwendale, 9-year-old Shelton Panganai was mauled to death by 5 dogs owned by a war veteran. But instead of arrest and justice, there was a suspicious phone call to a mystery politician, and just like that, investigators were told to stand down. The death certificate says unnatural causes. But the real unnatural thing here is the government's indifference. Locals say they have been warned not to talk. The war vet still walks free. The boy is gone, and justice still hiding. Still on horror stories, in Kuadzana, armed robbers stormed Blue Waters Medical Center, forced everyone to the ground, and made off with valuables. No injuries were reported, but that's about the only good news here. Zimbabwean hospitals are already war zones without adding AK-47s to the mix. Meanwhile, we revisit a terrifying tragedy at Nyaure River, now confirmed to be tied to the Manjuzu cult. The two women who drowned during a suspected initiation ceremony have finally been identified. Gertrude Marufu, 38, and Ruth Kachiza, 27. Police believe they were lured with promises of spiritual wealth and cleansing. Instead, their bodies were recovered by villagers, not authorities, and no one from the cult has faced arrests. Because in Zimbabwe, some deaths don't trigger investigations, just awkward silence and fast-moving hearses. Ladies and gentlemen, are we still pretending this is normal? If you believe Zimbabwe deserves better, comment enough below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Zimwaves TV, where truth doesn't wear a tie and the news bites back. Now to the wild world of Zimbabwean politics. In a shock move, a brand new political party has entered the ring. They call themselves Freedom Fighters for Change. And yes, the name sounds like it came from a WhatsApp group of angry cousins. The party says it wants to end decades of ZANU-PF domination, promote environmental justice, revive education, and bring transparency. Leading the charge, at least publicly, is Edmore Marange, announced as the party's Secretary General. He's been the party's most visible spokesperson, rallying citizens to reject corruption and embrace change. But here's the catch. The rest of the party's leadership remains a mystery. No president, no chairperson, no faces, just messages and manifestos. It's like launching a soccer team with only the kit manager. Still, Zimbabweans are so desperate for an alternative that even a party with no visible captain can draw interest. Whether this is a genuine people's movement or just another political decoy, time and the CIO will tell. Back in Parliament, Information Minister Jennifer Mswere finally admitted what every Zimbabwean has been screaming for years, that the US $30 radio license fee is insane. The government now says it may reduce it to between $5 and $15. But let's be real, in this economy, even that's like charging a drowning man for using your towel. Let's now talk education, or what's left of it. ZIMSEC has released the June 2025 exam results, and while their website is still buffering for half the country, early statistics paint a worrying picture. O-level pass rate 27.6%, A-level pass rate 63.4%. That's right, more than 7 out of every 10 O-level students failed. And for A-levels, nearly 4 in 10 didn't make it. This is a national crisis wearing a cap and a gown. Teachers say the chaotic marking process, thanks to a months-long strike, has played a major role in the disaster. And let's not forget that many of these scripts were graded by relief markers brought in like mercenaries, some of whom probably had to Google what a thesis statement is. So yes, the results are out. But don't be fooled. This isn't a measure of intelligence. It's a measure of systematic collapse. And unless the Education Ministry pulls out of its ivory tower and listens, we'll keep graduating failure one exam season at a time. In Chutungwiza, a tragic accident claimed the life of municipal worker Simon Maketo, who hit his head on a wall while a refuse truck tried to swerve around a stationary bus. Another senseless death brought to you by Zimbabwe's transport circus. No brakes, no safety, and no future. And across the Limpopo, Polokwane Mayor John Mpe is under fire for hiring Zimbabwean engineer Kennedy Chiwota as Director of Water and Sanitation. His credentials are impeccable, but Operation Dudula doesn't care. They are now threatening to block undocumented foreign children from enrolling in schools, because apparently children are now the root of South Africa's problems. Not corruption, not load shedding, just toddlers with birth certificates in Shona. Ladies and gentlemen, from dog attacks to couch days, fraudulent marks to mystery political parties, Zimbabwe continues to surprise us in the worst ways possible. But don't let the madness make you mute. Use your voice, your platforms, and your votes. That was your Zimwaves TV News Bulletin, where the news bends like firewood and speaks like your angry auntie at a funeral. Subscribe, comment, share, because silence is how tyrants sleep at night.
Takabirwa mari paskimu embuzi pambuzi paiva kwa nembuzi dzinofura tikabirwa goride paskimu yemugodi kwete yegoride chete neyemvura zvese maskimu wenyu mawani na ishumba apa mabata apa manombora uchiwe kuba kubira Zimbabwe nai musiki takakutadzire takabirwa mari paskimu yembudzi pambudzi paiva kwa nembudzi dzinofura tikabirwa goride paskimu yemugodi kwete yegoride chete neyemvura zvese dzingave uku munayo sikimu kudonedza musika munayo sikimu chero chaitwa chongonzi presidential kana kurima zvanzi presidential takabirwa mari paskimu yemugodi